Okay, YouTube, it's time to get a war on of the Napoleon variety. This is Angelos. I'll be doing a 2v2 on the grassy flatlands with Synoptic. We'll be playing as the Ottomans with exactly the same build, which will be rolling down your screens in a moment or two. Okay, so this was actually going to be a different sort of battle than it ended up being. We wanted to see if we could do a rolling noob box formation, where we mass our armies into a huge box and then like sort of roll around the battlefield in a noob box. And then we were going to try and spin them as well, so spinning new boxes of destruction was what I would have called this, or something along those lines. Needed work, but actually we decided not to do it in the end, mainly because we couldn't spin anything. We didn't know how to do it. And my guy had 9 stars, which scared us all, so we did a slightly more normal formation. Okay, right, so I've brought no art because I was intending on going into a box, and having art meant that I wouldn't be able to move properly. My guy is the 9-starer, his name is WP Pikachu, and yeah, he has no art as well, but he's got an absolute crap load of Lancer calves, so this is a very good anti-camper build. Yeah, and he uses them fairly well. You'll see what he does in a sec. This is after about half a minute of me running. My guy just races straight at me, which is good, which is a reason I showed you this, and then lances some of my skirmisher units, or attempts to anyway. He charges 2 shovel again into my skirmisher units, which I've got in front of my line. This is a usual bait I usually do, which is to have skirmishers ahead of my line, and then make them look vulnerable, so cav charges into them, and then draw them back into line formations. Annoyingly, he actually manages to rout one of my light on initial contact with his lancers, which is a rarity. And then he decides to try and take out as many of my skirms as possible with that lancer unit. But I'm willing to sacrifice, you know, virtually all my skirms, not all of them, but 1 or 2 skirms to take out as many of those damn lancers as possible. My guy has got a huge force of cav and line and a general, but no skirms or artillery, so it's a very anti-camper build, as I mentioned. He's got 2 old guard on his left flank. Again, he sends his lancers into my skirms, and again it's just a bait. I think that's Synoptics, actually. I can't tell because we're both playing as Ottomans, and he's sent some units over to my side to aid against my opponent. Those skirms that I lost will also regroup and come back into the fight. Okay, so I try to weaken his line with my skirms before pulling them back into a second line behind my front line, because he's got more line than me, so I'm going to need to fold my lines back in a sec to readjust to his flanking manoeuvres. You can see he's sending cav round my rear. I've only got 2 cav of my own, 2 Sipahi Lancer units. Okay, so here I can see there's a corner developing on my side, which is going to be a massive weakness to my formation, so I regroup my men and reform the line, and ensure that the corner of my formation is now in a less vulnerable position. Okay, so he tried to flank around my right side, so all I did was just collapse my line back. I put all my skirms into a second line behind my line for the time being to deal with all of this lancer units that are coming behind me. You can see me readjusting my men at the moment. I'm going to put a stake line down with my 2 rifle units to protect my main line from any rear hammer and anvil assaults by his cav, and I'm also going to have my light behind my rifles ready to destroy these lance units if they try to charge me. But instead of charging into my light, he tries to take my Sipahis off guard, but I don't particularly want to waste my 2 cav in a lancer on lancer exchange, because we'll kill each other in that exchange. So I did not want that to happen, so I just pull my lancers out of the way for the time being. Over here he does a charge which I didn't notice on my left line unit, but luckily he comes in from the side instead of the back or the front, and instead of them all going into my corner of my unit, they actually miss my men completely and go either side of them. That's just some stray bullets, it's nothing to worry about. Okay, here this is a mistake. He sends his lancers into my stakes, which is the whole point of it, and that was his Polish Guard lancers, so that's one of his most expensive units, and it got killed and hardly killed anyone. It just ran straight into my stake line. I think he was trying to come in at an angle to avoid the stakes, but misjudged it and came straight into them head on. Synoptic is also helping me on my guy's left flank by sending a Sipahi unit and doing hammer and anvil assaults on the French line. And I'm going to move up my 2 melee units, which is what was going to be part of our little like square formation. I was going to have a melee unit in each square and then pop them out when the time came to like go into melee. So here he's formed a square because of Synoptic's cav, and I'm going to melee charge with my Semat Janissary units. I send one to attack this line, which is regrouping, and I send one to attack the line just to the right of it. That initial charge will actually be quite devastating to that French line because I didn't manage to shoot them. You can see I'm now readjusting my line. Now that Synoptic has destroyed that guy's left flank, I'm going to roll my right flank round my guy's left, and I'm also going to be sending my cavalry units into my guy's back lines. Here I'm just going to charge this Dutch Lancer unit, which is another expensive unit. Again, he sent them into my Sipahi unit, which was ready, and he also sent them in front of my skirms, which dealt massive casualties to that Dutch Lancer unit before they reached my Sipahis. On my left, he tried to rear charge one of my units, but I judged which unit he was going to be attacking because I could see the pathing his units were going in and formed it into a square, which you just saw. And then as soon as that unit routes, which isn't going to be very long, I'm going to reform my line again. This is a line v line exchange against French line with Ottoman line. So on my left flank, which has been assaulted by numerous cavalry regiments, I'm going to back up with my skirms, who are forming the second line. I'm going to now pour them onto my left to reinforce that area, because there's no threat from enemy cav anymore. And also because my line on my left have also been assaulted by cav. They're heavily depleted, and if I did nothing, I'd lose my left flank. Not that it matters at this point, because my men are running riot everywhere. And there I snagged some of his heavy cav with that was his last unit, with my melee men, and then shot him with my line units, which were right behind. Now here I managed to smash straight through a line regiment with my Sipahis, and then smash into his general, killing both the line and the general in a lancer charge, which is quite good, seeing as there was only 20 lancers left in that regiment. Now here, this is his last unit, and I'm just going to rear charge it with my Sipahis. There's so much going on around this time that you can't expect people to be forming squares and doing everything immediately, because they're being distracted on multiple fronts by many attacks. So that was my guy dead, and that lasted exactly 6 minutes and 30 seconds from initial contact, which is probably one of the fastest engagements I've ever had on Napoleon. So my guy attacked me, but he attacked me in sort of a rash manner, thinking I don't know if he thought I was going to camp, or he was expecting me to bring artillery, or he underestimated how strong Ottoman line was. I've got no idea. But sending his cav around my rear is a good thing, because it forced me to form a second line, but he shouldn't have charged them in to a stake line, and he shouldn't have charged them head on into my skirmisher units. Okay, so on the other side, Synoptic has done... Well, he's engaged his guy, but nothing has really happened up to this point, because his guy has actually brought art, and Syno's just been skirmishing with him and helping me up until now. So I'm sending my army over, and I'll be moving it up onto Syno's left and his opponent's right, and I'll be rolling up the flank in a little bit. I tried to ninja Syno's guy's art with a line, but my line obviously weren't quite enough, because he saw my little ninja force coming and turned his line round and formed like a triangle around his artillery, like an Alamo sort of last stand. Right, here you can see something interesting, fairly interesting. He's going to send this young guard over, and he's going to click an attack order on my skirmishers, okay, because my skirmishers have longer range. Okay, so he gets a volley off, as you see. Right, now an attack order means that unit will only attack the unit he's clicked on, which I knew was that skirmisher unit, because I could tell, because that's what I was being shot at. So what I do is I pull that skirmisher unit behind my line. Yes, thank you, Mr. Advisor. And I then pull my other skirmishers around the flank and have my free line firing at this one line advancing. So I strongly suggest never clicking an attack order on anything, because well, unless you're paying a lot of attention, because an attack order means that unit is just going to be fixated on that one unit and ignore everything else. So thus, it's charged after that light imp, got straight into my line and my flanking skirmishers, and got completely destroyed. Now, you might think that that's stupid at this point of the battle. It was lost anyway. But I'm saying, like, when you're attacking an opponent, just use fire at will and don't click attack orders, because that happens quite a lot. Okay, so that's the end of the battle. A very interesting battle, I thought. And thanks for watching. And until next time.